Hey, Rob here again, and I just want to share some tips that could save you some money when you're going to take care of your car. Now, a lot of people spend a lot of money on products that just don't work. The reliability isn't there, and they just can't keep their car clean. But yet, you see somebody else's car rocking down the street, and it always seems to be clean. Well, how'd they do it? Why is that car clean? Especially when it's a car like mine here with the black paint. How do they keep it clean in bad weather? I mean, it's wintertime right now. It's rainy season. It's just awful outside. But yet, you see cars that look like they're washed every hour. How do they do it? There's some simple tricks to doing this. I'm going to start with the wheels because that's the one that drives me up the wall, is how do you keep the wheels nice and clean all year round and protect the paint? And that's the big thing. You spend a lot of money on wheels. You want to keep those looking nice at all times. You want the paint, the finish to remain the day you bought it. Well, there's some things you can do, and there's some things you don't do. I've seen on YouTube this one person saying that the best way to do things was using brake cleaner or brake fluid to clean their wheels. That's not good, because those chemicals will actually eat the manufacturer's finish on it, and eventually your wheels are going to fall apart and the paint's going to come off and it's going to look just really, really shitty. So don't use things like that on it. If you have to use a brake cleaner on your wheel to get rid of the brake dust deposits, I highly recommend that you wash it off thoroughly with soapy water right afterwards. Get it all off, because eventually that will pit the finish of your wheel. And you spent money on these things. These aren't cheap. Like, here's a set of Vossens. They're not cheap. Up here, I have to go through a reseller, which they all come out of the States, and when you look at the exchange rate and everything else, they're not cheap. So I want to protect my rims. So I'm going to use a couple of things. And the first thing I do to clean everything is I take a spray bottle, one of these ones that works no matter how you hold the bottle, and I put Absolute Rinse in it. That's a PNS product. It's got chemical properties that make lubricants, and it basically will pull up any dirt, trap it, and also provide a lubricant that when I go through it with my microfiber cloth to clean up the dirt and the dust and everything else, it's going to remove it with the least ability to scratch my rims. Then you have to protect, once you got that all clean, you have to protect it. Now, I don't promote anybody's product on here. That's not the sole goal here. The sole purpose of this is to teach you actually some of the tricks to doing it. So nobody's sponsoring me. I don't get products from free. I actually have to buy them, and I only use what I think actually works. So, I'm helping you out here. I've used a lot of products in the past. I've used everything from Turtle Wax to Meguiar's, back and forth to different ones. I've recently switched over to the Perfecta series out of Italy. This is an SiO2 ceramic detailer. You want to put a ceramic coating on there, and the reason for that is after you cleaned your rims and everything else, you want to protect them. The ceramic gives that layer between the rim and whatever is going to get onto it and make it easier for you to get that off. So the better the ceramic coating that's on your rim, the better the protection is on it. The other thing that we use is the Perfecta 2.0. That 2.0 is actually used in the summertime. This does not protect your rims with a ceramic coating. This is a dust and dirt repellent, basically. It's meant for the rest of your body of the vehicle, but it will keep stuff off in the summertime because you don't need an Si2 ceramic in the summertime. But you can, but this will help keep your rims clean, your tires clean. And when I say tires, I mean the wheel. So this on top of the ceramic will protect your wheels. So we're going to go into actually cleaning it. I'm going to put the fast time lapse thing because you really don't need to see me cleaning a wheel for 15 minutes. The very last treatment that I'm going to put on there is Nero. Nero is a tire dressing gel. I've searched high and low for what works and what doesn't. I've used everything. This seems to last the longest no matter what the conditions are outside and how many times I wash the wheel. So we're going to go from there and start recording. Right. I'm going to slowly pan in here. Now that I've actually cleaned the wheel, you can see that it's actually nice and clean. Now I've done the outer part. I didn't do the inner part of the barrel. I do that every so often. The car is going to be going back out, so this is going to get covered again in dirt and stuff, and then I'm going to have to wash it again. But this is the first part to protecting it and making it very easy to clean. Now you need to get everywhere on the wheel. And looking back down here, there's all these little channels. And this is what I was speaking about earlier. You need to get in there, get all of the dirt that gets trapped in these channels in behind here. Like you can see where the actual rim, I can stick my finger back here. Well, you need to get in there and get all of that down where it meets into other parts of the rim. Those are where your brake dust is going to deposit, usually in here at the top parts. And eventually brake dust will pit the wheel, and then there goes your finish. It's really weird. I didn't think brake dust would pit it, but you know, a lot of people have told me, including some of the car detailers, that yeah, brake dust will pit the rim. So this is the amount that came off that one wheel. Not a lot, so it wasn't really dirty, but I haven't done this probably for about 4 or 5 weeks now, and normally after 4 or 5 weeks of driving, these are dirty. So the rest of it is now how to protect this. Now again, I don't promote anybody's product, but I'm going to use the SiO2, which has a ceramic factor to it. This is going to put a ceramic layer with water repelling qualities between the finish and the environment. So we're going to again go back to the time lapse because there's no need for you to actually watch me spraying this in on second by second, because it does take a little bit of time. But then I'm going to use a clean cloth here to buff off the residue, and then I've got a final buffing cloth in the back of the car that I'm going to use as the last step once everything is flashed and is on and cleaned. I am not going to put the Perfecta 2.0 on because it's winter time. I don't want anything sticking to the car. I want it to be repelled with a ceramic property where it beads up anything and it comes off cleaner. So this is going aside. We're going to apply this today and then go through the rest of it. So back to the time lapse. All right, now that is the SiO2 applied. Only took me a couple of minutes. Use one of these to get into areas where you find the chemical is trapped to pull it out and spread it around. This is now ceramic. I'm going to let it sit for a couple of minutes. I want it to cure before I go into the next step. You know, and it's also a good chance to look over the rim to make sure I didn't miss any areas. Generally, you'll know because your paint will haze. And if you see it starting to haze out, then you know you still got some of the SiO2 on there. But now this is ceramic coated. Now I've only done to about here. I didn't go any further than that. I tried not to spray any of it onto my rotors. You really don't want to do that. So I did control spraying, very little, to make sure I got everything coated. Work your way from the top to the bottom, because gravity will bring the chemical downwards. Just save some of the product. But I used the microfiber sponge to make sure everything is coated and done. So I'm going to let that sit for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to go on to cleaning the tire itself, the rubber. You still need to protect that. You know, you got great looking wheels, but you don't want a brown and disgusting looking tire on your set of wheels. So you need to protect that, what works and what doesn't. And we'll be right back. All right, now I've treated this, I've let it sit, I've buffed it off, I've checked for any residue, because the last thing you want is any of the SiO2 to be running down onto the tire when you treat it. Now, a couple of things that I use when I'm treating the tire is I will use the Nero tire dressing, and instead of slopping it all over the place, I use one of these. Saves you a lot of product, saves you time, and you get the product where you want it. Now I got the time lapse on this going, so I'll start off with it, and then I will start putting this stuff on and showing you how to dress the tire properly. So just had one of my neighbors watching. Always good to have a fan base. Now, Perfecta, they've done this really nice. You can see there's a little applicator in there, so it's just not going to dump out onto the thing. I'm putting a generous amount because I want to work the product in. I let it soak into the sponge. And then basically, I'm going to go on an angle and use the tip part to get in there. And then I work it around the tire, making sure I'm getting the product on. Now, you don't have to put a ton of it on, but you want to make sure you do give it a nice amount, because it's going to soak in. This stuff will soak into the tire. And you figure the tire being rubber, well, it shouldn't soak in. Yeah, tires they will absorb contaminants. They will absorb anything on the road, salts, grease, oil. So I'm just going around my tire nicely, trying to keep it off the rim and make sure I've got a nice coating on there. Now, it's always advisable to keep a microfiber around just in case you do get a little bit of it on the rim. It's not going to hurt it. Just get it off the rim. And there we go. So I'm going to let that sit for a couple of minutes and soak in, and I'm going to see how it is. Okay, so here is the final product. The tire's done. And I'm just going to pan the camera around here a bit. You can see it looks all nice and clean. It is shiny and it is finally done. So this is looking just the way I want it. Okay, well, now we've finished applying the products. Nero for the rubber on the tire, the other stuff for the SI2 for the actual wheel. Now it's all done. As you can see, it's looking really good, nice and black. Now it is protected. Like I said, the tire itself, the rubber, will actually pull in salt, different chemicals that are on the roads, you know, from them cleaning them. Whatever's on there is going to actually start to go into the rubber on the tires, and you start losing the nice black shine coloring that you have on the rubber. And this just protects it so that it's going to be looking nice, because you really don't want a faded brown rubbery tire. You want it to look really nice. And this stuff, like I said, I'm not promoting any product, but I've used many. The Perfecta series from these guys, Nero tire dressing, seems to do the job. You know, I haven't found anything better than this yet, and I've used a lot of them. And this seems to work, and it keeps the tire a nice, you know, even matte black. It's got some shine to it, but not too much. Seems to work. So, you know, I'm happy with this stuff. And again, I've used many different ones. I'd tell you if it worked or not. I'm not promoting these guys. It's up to you. You might want to go grab a small bottle of it and try it, see what you think of it. But I am really happy with what I get as a product. The durability of the product that I'm using on the wheel. Again, the SI2 is used on the paint, but yeah, it just seems to work on the rims as well, and it just makes it easier to clean it, and keeping these nice Vossen rims looking shiny, you know, with the gloss powder coat paint that's on there. I don't want them to look crappy, because they weren't cheap. So, you know, you want your car looking good. This is one of the first steps, is make sure your wheels look good, and, you know, your tires and that, and then work from there. And, you know, in the next video, we'll start showing you what we do on the body, on how to keep that looking nice and clean, protected, the do's and don'ts. Some of the stuff is not explained to people on other videos, or it's missing parts. So we'll go over it nice and slowly and show you what we're doing on our vehicle for to keep it looking good and looking sharp, and keeping the value of the vehicle. Because if you let your paint go and it starts to, you know, fade and peel, your vehicle value decreases. And later on, we'll also show you about how to keep your interior nice and clean, some of the products that we use. And again, we're not sponsored by these guys. It's just try various types of products to see which is the best. And we've kind of got our own combination that works for us. It might work for you. So we thought we'd share it out. Until then, peace out, guys.